Welcome back to the COVID Chronicles here at Okonjima Nature Reserve. Joining me today is Sarah Edwards. She does the brown hyena research. Sarah, welcome.
Thank you very much.
Yesterday we darted a spotted hyena. Could you please take us through? Like, for example, we could see some plastic tubes on the hyena's teeth, and then it was shaved, and the doctor was feeling the skin like this, and he then injected it and filling the pores and all that. There were tubes inserted into the nose of the hyena. Looking at the breathing rate and the heartbeat as well was also monitored. Could you please just take us through that?
Okay, so yesterday we free darted a spotted hyena. His collar was actually running out of battery life, so we wanted to replace it with a new collar.
Okay.
So normally we would have a VHF, so a very high frequency collar on this animal, and we are able to then get data because the guides, they go out, they track him, they record his GPS location, his behavior, if he's eating, what he's eating. But at the moment, because of the whole COVID situation, we just don't have guests, or very, very few, only local guests. So we decided to ensure that we still get that data, but we rather replace it with a GPS collar. So that means this collar will take a position every 30 minutes, so we can see exactly what this hyena, or where he is, and what his spatial movements look like. Okay, so this is actually where we collared him first. And you'll see it's only been a few days now, and he's covered quite a large area of the park already. He also did a bit of a big movement up here into the north of the park. But just after we collared him, he actually went down here. Let's just zoom in a little bit. And I got a little bit worried that maybe his collar had fallen off already, because I saw so many GPS positions all in one place, and he was there for sort of 2 days, and I was really convinced the collar had came off. So I went to check this spot, and when I got there, there was the remains of a dead impala male, and I think the spotted hyena had actually killed him and then just spent 2 days just eating and sleeping and not really moving because of how much food he had consumed. So lots of time spent around the kill. And then quite a huge loop that he did now around in the north. And we know from camera trap data that this spotted hyena, he moves across the whole park. But it's only now with the GPS collar that we're seeing where he moves, when he moves, and starting to, if we investigate these clusters of points, we're going to often find prey remains, and then we can get a better idea of what his diet might be on Okonjima. So it's really interesting already just from these few days of data. Now we're putting GPS collars on brown hyenas and on leopards, and we want to try and understand how all these carnivores are interacting with each other in the reserve. And are the brown hyenas also maybe stealing kills from the spotted hyena? Just to see a bit more in depth how they're all interacting.
What are some of the challenges that you face when you're doing this research? Is there anything that sometimes limits your activities?
I guess at the moment, with the whole COVID situation and our funding being very low, because we don't have tourism coming in, and that was the main way that we were funding things like staff salaries, fuel for our vehicles. So it means that we only have Dr. Detart here for shorter periods of time. So that means, like we've done in the last couple of days, we really have to take advantage of when he's here. We've done free dartings in the last 2 days with you guys, and that's the pace that we now have to work at to make sure we get as many animals that we need to recollar done whilst he is here.
Okay.
So that's a challenge at the moment.
Now, what made you actually choose, the brown hyena from all other animals? What made you fall in love with that, to do the research on the brown hyenas?
Yeah, I sort of came into it almost by chance. And after I started studying them down in Lüderitz on the coast, you know, I saw that this is a really interesting animal to study. I like the social aspect. They're very intelligent. And then I was asked by Wayne Hansen, the owner of Okonjima, that they wanted to start brown hyena research here. So that's how I came to start. And then this whole brown hyena research project here has now been started completely from scratch.
Okay.
You know, we've built up getting grants in to fund things like collars and camera traps, and you know, and grown the project year after year. And I think it's been a really interesting and rewarding project to have started. And I think that's what's so difficult at the moment with this COVID situation, and how uncertain the research future is for Okonjima Nature Reserve. You know, you spend so much time building this project up. You're working late nights. You're spending your weekends, you know, writing grant applications. We always have to make sure we're writing our reports, getting our research permits. You know, doing the field work, and to have spent sort of the last 2.5 years building that up, and now the future of this project being so uncertain and it may have to stop actually. Is pretty heartbreaking. It is. And the questions that were sort of on the verge of answering about the dispersal of subadult hyenas in an enclosed system is so interesting, and to now maybe not get those answers, you know, is very sad.
Now, being a researcher on these brown hyenas, is there anything that you have found out about hyenas that is so, you know, special and that really got you excited, you know?
I think when we've started looking at the dispersal patterns, so of the subadult individuals, one thing that we had recently, we collared a subadult, and once they get to about 2 years of age, we know it's sort of the neck size is about what an adult's, you know, and we know that the collar's not going to get tight. And we actually had one subadult. We collared him. He was very close to his communal den where his mother, his father, you know, his other clan members were. And then when we put the collar on him, we realized he was going right to the neighbor's communal den and actually spending time playing with 2 9-month-old cubs and sort of trying to integrate himself into the neighboring clan, I think with the hopes of one day becoming a breeding male and spreading his genes. And that was something that was very interesting because we got this spatial data from his collar, and then we had a camera trap on video at the other den, and to be able to see then this behavior and him playing, never with the adults, just with these sub-adults or these younger cubs. So that was something really special to pair spatial and behavioral observation.
Is there any high rate of infant mortality with these young hyenas?
Yeah, so last year we had the first case of infanticide in wild brown hyena. So this was where a female brown hyena came and actually killed 2 10, 12-week-old cubs. And we think this is because the degree of competition between hyenas on the reserve is so high that maybe this was a way of just taking out this competition at an early age. At the moment we've got one litter of 3 cubs actually just on the other side of this mountain, and they, from our camera trap videos, we can see there is something wrong with these cubs. They're very wobbly, uncoordinated, falling over the whole time. It's like they don't have a good sense of balance at the moment. So at the moment we're sending these video clips out to wildlife vets, to zoo vets, to other hyena researchers to try and get an idea of what this problem might be. A lot of people have come back saying it might be canine distemper virus, which would be quite a dangerous thing to have in a reserve with such a high density of carnivores, of jackals, of brown hyenas. You know, it could spread very quickly. Other vets have said things like a deficiency in the diet or some sort of parasite. So at the moment, I don't want to go in now and try and handle these cubs and take samples because I'm too afraid that the mother might then smell something happened and just abandon these cubs. So we're trying to keep monitoring them with camera traps on video mode so we can actually see, are they surviving, are they dying, are they maybe improving a little bit. So it's something that's like just happening right now as you guys are here, and we really want to just keep a close eye on these cubs And any other cubs now that are born in the reserve, we want to check, is it also happening to them?
Yeah.
Because, you know, our hyenas have overlapping home ranges, so any disease or, you know, potentially parasites could easily cross between different clans and spread through the whole population. So,
how important is tourism to these brown hyena research?
I think it's absolutely essential, not just for the brown hyena research, but for our leopard, aardvark, pangolin research. Basically, without tourism, as we're seeing now, these research projects are just sort of grounding to a halt, you know, for lack of funding.
Yeah.
So it's just become such an important part of our research projects, and sort of this symbiotic relationship between the Okonjima Lodge and the AfriCat Foundation, and how, you know, guests help fund our research, but also in return that these guests then get to see things like leopards, brown hyenas, aardvark, pangolin, which are otherwise so difficult, especially pangolin, are so difficult to see, that it does work in both ways. But it really means that at the moment, with no tourism, our research projects are just under so much pressure and in danger of stopping, and this would just be a massive shame. So tourism is very essential.
Yeah, and I think things like this, you know, normally people are not seeing this, and we've done documentaries before where we've darted the animals, but then this side of it is not shown, and I think it's important that we show that this research is real. We're not just putting collars on animals to show them to tourists, that this is, you know, real research projects. We're publishing our work, we're doing so much more than just putting collars on animals, and I think people need to understand that, because it might not always be apparent, especially if you come to Okonjima as a guest, or see some of the other documentaries that have been made where they don't show the other side of it. So I think this is really cool that we show this now.